Hello everybody, Intuition here. Thank you as always for making time and space for us. Today we would like to discuss how to transcend sadness. It seems that many of us are in a state of sadness. Many of us are going through a lot of pain in this moment in time. And so it is important to really understand why and where that sadness really comes from in order to move through it and move past it. Because sadness keeps us in a very rigid state. It keeps us in a box that does not allow us to climb outside the box. We become in our feelings, in it. If we're in something, we lose objectivity. We become it, as opposed to being outside of the feeling and being able to allow it to come through and move through us in the way that is most appropriate. If I jump into a feeling, then that means I'm lost in it, and it's harder to get out of it. And sadness is a feeling that many of us get lost in because we jump into that feeling. And so how do we get out of our feelings? How do we get out of that sadness, out of that rigid state? And so how we understand to move through it is first and foremost understanding that sadness, again, is a state that keeps you in a place that does not allow you to see objectively what it is that is going on. Sadness comes usually from a story in which we are telling ourselves. And that story generally is that whatever it is that has just happened is reminding me of something from my past. Whatever it is that has just happened is very similar to something that happened a long time ago for me. And now, because this situation is very similar to a moment in my past, instead of me being here in this moment, being objective, being able to be present enough to realize that there's nothing really happening, that I'm just seeing a pattern, and that pattern is similar to something that happened in my past, and because I'm not feeling safe in this moment enough to stay here, I'm following that pattern into the memory of the past, which puts me again in the past, which does not allow me to see this present moment, and then therefore I get stuck in the past, and I get stuck in a feeling of sadness that does not allow for me to be objective enough in this moment. Which means that now I am in a feeling. And that feeling is going to make me behave and keep me stuck in a way similar to wherever it is that that pattern leads from that moment in my past. Usually, that moment in your past takes you to a very regressed state, a state of your childhood or adolescence, where you weren't as resourced as you are now as an adult. Which means that you're lacking the ability to be able to act appropriately because you are in a memory of the past that puts you into a feeling that is rigid, that puts you into a fight or flight response that does not allow you to be resourced in your knowing of what it is that you know as an adult. It forces you to behave erratic in a way of that of a child, erratic in the way of that of I need to fight or I need to flight. And that all again comes from what is happening right now between me and whatever circumstance person is in front of me is not safe. It reminds me of a pattern that I have seen long ago. Let me follow that pattern all the way back to a moment in time that is not now, that then keeps me stuck in that moment of time, and no longer am I seeing this person in front of me. I'm seeing the recapitulation of what it is that happened in that moment in time that I think will inform me of my present to help me to behave in a way that will keep me safe, but that is exactly the opposite of what happens when I'm using time to inform me of the present. Because right now is the only moment in which I could keep myself safe, not a memory of the past that is going to keep me stuck in a state of sadness. Now, that does not mean that we don't necessarily feel sadness, but sadness shouldn't take hold of you and take you down with it inside the feeling of sadness. And then therefore you get lost and stuck in that feeling. If you are stuck in that pattern, then again, you are stuck in a memory of the past. And so if you insist on feeling sadness, then allow it to come through you and leave quick enough so that you are able to become responsive back into that present moment and do something about whatever it is that is making you sad. Because you feeling sad is not going to remedy whatever the situation or person is doing that is making you sad. And usually, again, what is making you sad beyond the memory of the past is the person or circumstance violating a boundary that you've set. And because you feel like that boundary has been violated and you can't do anything about it, that makes you sad. But you're not able to do anything about it because you're in a memory of the past, which renders you powerless in the present. And so, if you want to move through sadness, it is about asking yourself, where am I in this moment? Am I in a memory of the past, or am I right here with what it is that's going on? Because if I'm right here with what it is that's going on, then I'm able to act appropriately to whatever is happening, to be able to change the trajectory so that I don't feel powerless, and then therefore feel sad and stuck in a state that does not allow me to move in a way that is most resonant with what it is that I am needing. So, it is as simple or as complex as you reorienting yourself back into the moment, reorienting yourself back into yourself. Because again, if I'm in the past, I'm not really here with myself. I'm in the past with a version of myself. And that version of myself is not who I am now. But because I'm with that version of myself, I'm going to project that old version of me into this present moment and then come from a place and a behavior that is very regressed based off of that projection of that version of me that I'm with in the past, as opposed to, again, being with who it is that I am in the present moment. And that is not going to lend me favorable circumstances in the present moment. That is going to lend me of a recapitulation of that moment in the past repeating itself because I'm behaving the same way as I did in the past in this present moment and not allowing myself to act and engage appropriately based off of the person that I am now. And so, as always, just a little food for thought. If we want to transcend sadness, it is important to keep those things in the forefront of our minds, because as soon as we reorient ourselves back into this moment, we're able to be accountable for what it is that we need now and not be lost in what we weren't able to secure for ourselves then. So, as always, thank you so much for making time and space for us, and we wish you well entering, engaging, and being present in this present moment. The past does not hold the answers for us. It is this moment that is informing everything. And to look into the past, we've just wasted a moment of our time looking for answers that aren't there. The answers are all right here. Welcome to knowing everything. Everything you need to know is here, not there. Well wishes.